Are you getting ready to take the FTCE Physics 6 through 12 subject area exam? This is test code 032. I can help. My name is Selena, and I have over 20 years of teaching experience, and I'm a test prep expert with Study.com. In this video, I'll walk you through everything that is on the test, how best to prepare, and my top tips to make sure you are all set for the big day. Let's get started. The FTCE Physics Subject Area Exam tests whether you have the appropriate content knowledge required to teach physics to middle and high school students. The test assesses your familiarity with topics going from classical mechanics all the way up through modern physics. If you have a good handle on high school and early college level physics, you should be well prepared to succeed on this exam. The FTCE physics exam is 2.5 hours long and includes about 70 multiple choice questions. The test covers the following topics: knowledge of the nature of scientific investigation and instruction in physics, which accounts for about 7% of the test questions, knowledge of the mathematics of physics, making up about 8%, knowledge of thermodynamics, making up around 10% of the test questions, knowledge of mechanics, which makes up most of the substantial portion of the exam, representing around 27% of questions. Knowledge of waves and optics is 18% of the test. Knowledge of electricity and magnetism represents 20% of the test questions. And knowledge of modern physics represents the remaining 10% of the exam. Each multiple choice question on the exam will have 4 response options and only 1 correct answer. The test is taken on a computer, and you will answer each question by selecting the letter A, B, C, or D that corresponds to your chosen response options. There are 5 types of questions that you might encounter on this exam. Scenario questions ask you to apply your knowledge to a real-life situation. These questions require you to make a decision or recommend a course of action based on information presented to you. Command questions ask for the best response to an instruction. Since these are physics questions, the instruction might be identify the forces in this diagram or calculate the mass of this projectile. Graphics questions ask you to interpret a chart, table, figure, number line, or graph. You might be asked to find a data point, identify a trend, or perform a calculation using information extrapolated from a graphic. Direct questions are the most straightforward type. They simply require you to pick the best response to the question. Finally, sentence completion questions require you to select the best option to complete a sentence, kind of like fill-in-the-blank style. During the test, you will have access to an on-screen scientific calculator and reference sheet built into the exam program. The program will also include a timer so you can pace yourself throughout the test session. You will be able to proceed forward and backward through the 70 test questions and can mark questions that you want to return to later. With this in mind, here's a tip. It's a good idea to start by answering all the questions you feel confident about. Then go back and try the questions you're less sure about. This leads me to my next tip. When you're nearing the end of the allotted time, go ahead and give any questions you have left your best guess. There is no penalty for getting a question wrong, so it's in your best interest to enter a response for as many questions as possible. Now let's take a closer look at the 7 competencies on the exam in better detail along with some sample questions. The first competency, knowledge of the nature of scientific investigation and instruction in physics, accounts for around 7% of test questions. That may only be a few questions, but don't be fooled. This competency covers a pretty wide range of topics. These questions assess your broad understanding of the scientific method, the history of science, laboratory equipment, inquiry learning, and best practices for teaching diverse student populations. The second competency, knowledge of the mathematics of physics, makes up about 8% of the test. These questions focus on math skills applied to physics, including dimensional analysis, vectors, units and unit conversions, and significant figures. Competency number 3, knowledge of thermodynamics, represents roughly 10% of test questions. Here, you will be assessed on your knowledge and understanding of heat transfer, kinetic molecular theory, and laws of thermodynamics. Questions frequently involve applying gas laws or interpreting diagrams. Knowledge of mechanics, the fourth competency, makes up the bulk of the test. These problems center on kinematics, work, simple harmonic motion, and related concepts. Most of this material is covered in high school physics courses and intro mechanics in college, so it should be familiar. That said, it might have been a while since you studied these concepts, so it's certainly worth reviewing. The next competency is knowledge of waves and optics, roughly about 18% of the exam, covering types of waves and their properties, propagation and interference, and refraction and diffraction. You'll be asked to demonstrate your understanding of the Doppler effect lenses, Snell's law, and various optical instruments. Competency 6, knowledge of electricity and magnetism, represents around 20% of the test. These questions evaluate your knowledge of forces and fields acting on static and moving charges. You'll also need to be familiar with various properties of circuits and be able to apply concepts such as Ohm's law and Kirchhoff's law. And finally, the knowledge of modern physics competency focuses on basic quantum mechanics, special relativity, and nuclear physics. Other common topics include the four fundamental forces, subatomic and elementary particles, and mass-energy equivalents. The FTCE Physics 6 through 12 exam covers the full range of topics that middle and high school physics teachers need to be familiar with, so there's a lot to go over. What's the best way to prep? I recommend starting your prep with a full-length practice test so that you can identify where you need to spend most of your study time. Don't worry about your score the first time around. You are just trying to figure out where you need to focus. Need a concrete prep recommendation? I highly recommend Study.com's FTCE Physics 6 through 12 prep course. It covers everything that I just went through, but in a ton more detail. The course, written and vetted by former teachers, also includes short-form videos for every relevant concept and a bank of high-quality practice questions with answer explanations. Watch lessons to review the topics in your study plan, and do practice problems or make flashcards to transfer the material to your long-term memory. And take heed of this key study tip. Practice, practice, practice. There's no substitute for working through sample questions that mirror those that you will face on test day. Every practice question you do is going to help you be that much more prepared. If this video helped you, check out the other videos in this and other series for more FTCE test prep. And please like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when new teacher test prep content drops. Are there specific tests or questions that you want us to cover? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to circle back once you have passed your tests so that we can all celebrate with you. Good luck.